guys, this is the tutorial that's going to show you how to make this wave stitch slouch hat. I've seen this wave stitch before and I've been meaning to mess around with it, and I finally got around to doing so. I only saw it back and forth though, but I wanted to make a hat and gloves with it, and I did make a set of fingerless gloves as well, which I'll do a tutorial on this for next week. But I figured out how to do this in the round, but it doesn't have the same kind of fold in between these two as if you're going back and forth. At least it doesn't look like it has as much of a fold in between. So it's more of a flatter stitch doing this way, but you can easily still see the pattern and everything. And I thought, wow, that still looks really cool. So I went ahead and I made myself a slouch hat and a pair of fingerless gloves to wear this winter. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that today, on how to make this hat. So to make this, I used one whole skein of yarn to make this hat part and my gloves, but I think I had kind of a bigger skein because usually I use, like, it takes two just to make the hat. So I would say get two skeins of the main color that you want and only one skein of like the secondary color. I got this dark gray. I don't know if you can tell on camera. This darker gray that goes with it. This isn't red, it's like a mixture of like reddish pink. It's kind of hard to say, but as I told you before, I live in Israel, so when I see something that I like, I grab it, and I don't know if you'll be able to find it. I got just a little bit left here. It says it's made in Romania. It's a company Jumbo of Vitigo. So you can check it out if you want. It's www.vitigo, which is vitalgo.co.il. So you can check it out. And the shade is 5001 and the dye is 6421. So if you want to look that up, go for it. Good luck. And I don't have the paper for the gray, but I'm sure you can find some darker gray like this. Okay. Also, besides the skeins of yarn, and this is worst weight yarn, which is 10 ply for Australia and 4 ply for the US. You're also going to need a tapestry needle because you're going to have to sew the end of your hat together. Also a tape measure because you're going to have to measure exactly how long your hat is, so you know when that you need to start decreasing it to close up the top. So it's very important that you have some kind of tape measure that's at least 10 inches or 27 centimeters. Also, stitch marker. Stitch marker is very, very, very important, and you can use just a piece of yarn to mark it. I definitely say that this project is beginner, advanced, or intermediate stitch. I wouldn't try this for a beginner because you really need to be able to recognize the stitches and when to change. So definitely get a stitch marker, and also you're going to need I can never remember the second size, J. Okay, so you're going to need two sizes of hooks, a 5mm size H hook, which you'll be using for just this bottom part, the rim of the hat, and then a 6mm or size J hook to make the actual size of the hat. And that is it. Oh, one more thing I want to mention. The multiples of this stitch is 10. So you're going to be chaining in multiples of 10. I chained 70 to get this adult size. So if you want to make smaller size for a child or something like that, I would do 60 and then move it down from there, 10, 10, 10, and try the sizes. So go ahead and grab all that stuff and we'll get started. Okay, for the hat, you want to go ahead, if you're making an adult size, go ahead and chain 70. Just for the purposes of this tutorial, I went ahead and just chained 30. Okay, once you have your chain, you want to go ahead and slip stitch in the beginning chain. Make sure it's not twisted, the chain's not twisted. And then you'll slip stitch to form a ring. And then you want to do a chain of 1, and then you'll go right back into that same stitch and do a single crochet. Then you want to put 1 single crochet worked in this top loop only all the way around. So continue around and just putting 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll see you back here when you get done. Okay, when you get to the end of your row, make sure that you count your stitches. If you were doing a beginning with a chain of 70 or 60, make sure that you end with 70 or 60, whatever the amount that you started with. And then when you get to the end of your row, you want to slip stitch in the beginning single crochet. Then for round 2, you want to chain 2, 1, 2, and then in the next stitch, you want to do a double crochet. And then you want to continue and do 1 double crochet in each stitch around. And then when you get back up to the end, again, make sure you count your stitches, and then I'll see you when you get back. Okay, when you get done, you want to slip stitch in the top at the beginning chain 2. That chain 2 does count as a stitch. Make sure you count your stitches this round as well. So when you get to round 3, you want to chain 1, and you can either chain 2 or you can just chain 1 and elongate your hook like I'm doing here, because you want to work a front post double crochet on this chain 2 below. So I'm going to go down and pull up this chain 2. I'm going to work a double crochet on it, and you want to do that for the next 4 stitches too. You want to do 5 front post double crochets in a row. So we just did 1. So then we want to grab the post up of the next one. And work our double crochet. So we got 3, 4, and 5. Now you want to work the next 5 stitches as back post double crochets. So what you'll be doing is yarning over and coming in and pushing back that post to do a back post double crochet. You want to do 5 of those in a row. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now you've got your 5 front post, 5 back post, and you'll repeat that for the remainder of your round. Next you'll be doing your 5 front post, and then the next 5 stitches you'll do your 5 back post. So you continue that pattern all the way around, and I'll see you when you get back up to the beginning. Okay, when you get done, you want to slip stitch in the top of the beginning front post double crochet, and then again you will chain 1, elongate your hook, or you can chain 2, it's up to you, and you're going to do a front post double crochet over these 5 front post double crochets. You're going to be repeating exactly what you did last round, only you're working on your front post and back post double crochets from last round. So I just put 5 front post double crochets worked on my front post double crochets. Now I need to do my 5 back post double crochets. And then 1 more back post double crochet. Okay, I got my 5 back post double crochets. And you're just going to continue this pattern all the way around. Okay, when you get done with your row, you want to go ahead and switch your 5mm hook over to your 6mm hook, or your size J hook, because you're going to be starting the main part of the hat now. Also, I like to change my color now, so I'm just going to get my new color and just slip it through the loop and pull that color tight, and now I'm just going to start working with my new color, because my first slip stitch I do to end the round is also going to be the first stitch of my round. So I'm going to go into that top of the front post double crochet and slip stitch to end and begin my round. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and, since we're going to be working one continuous round, I'm going to mark this first stitch, because you're going to be needing it as you keep continuing. Okay, so we have our very first single crochet. So in the next 4 stitches, we're going to put a single crochet. We want to have 5 single crochets. I'm sorry, I keep saying single crochets. We're doing slip stitches. We did our first slip stitch here. Now we're going to work a slip stitch in the next 4 stitches, which will give us a total of 5 slip stitches in a row. Now the next 5 stitches, we're going to be working a half double crochet. So into the next 5 stitches, and this yarn sometimes it's hard to work with. And then 5. Okay, got my 5 half double crochets, and then you're going to repeat this over and over again. 5 slip stitches, then 5 half double crochets. So again, we're going to continue our pattern and do 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So then the next will be 5 half double crochets. So continue this pattern all the way around, and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, from now on, we're going to be alternating working in our front loops, which is this front loop here. So you have a front, oh, let me go a little closer, sorry. So each stitch has a front and a back loop. We're going to be alternating working in the front loop one round, and then the next we're going to be working in our back loop. So you're going to have to pay attention and remember for yourself every round whether you worked in the front loop or the back loop, but it should be easy enough to remember because you'll have this to show you which loop you worked in last as you get going. So let me back up just a bit. Okay, so for your next round, you're going to be working in your front loops. So we're going to be doing 2 in a row of each stitch. So we have a row of slip stitches, 1 row of slip stitches. So we're going to be doing another row of slip stitches. It's the same with the half double crochets. We did 1 row of half double crochet, so we're going to need to put another row of half double crochets over it. And another way that you can tell whether you're going to be working, it's hard to see on that one, maybe this one, whether you're going to be working front post or back post that round, in the middle of each half double crochet rows that you'll be doing, you'll always be working on the front post, the front loop when you're doing your second set of half double crochets, because as you can see the stitches kind of go around that. So the center, you're working on the front loops so that the back loops don't show. When you work only on the back loops, the front post will show, and you can see here. So you can see here I worked only on the back post. This one I did only the front post, and then the next one I did back post, which shows the front loops. So that's another way that you can remember. So this round is our second round of half double crochets, and we do not want those loops to show in the middle of 2 rows of half double crochets. So we're going to be working on the front loop this round. So we're working our next set of slip stitches using the front loop only. So we'll do our 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we'll be working our half double crochets worked in our front post. So pick up your very first front post here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again, work your next 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, and I counted like this all the way through my rows. 3, 4, 5, because it can be hard later on to be able to tell where your last half double crochet is and your next slip stitch is. So definitely count. So you have your 5 slip stitches, so now you need your 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, do your next 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're almost to the end here. Just have our last 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we have our 2 rows of half double crochets and our 2 rows of slip stitches. So now we have to change our pattern up, because you only want to have 2 rows in a row of the same stitch. So once you have your 2 rows of half double crochet, this time you'll be wanting to do a slip stitch over that area. And the part that it dips down here, where you have 2 rows of slip stitches, you want to put a half double crochet on this area. So you just did your 5 half double crochets to end the round, but you're going to continue doing 5 half double crochets on to begin your round. That's why it's so important that you have your marker and that you know where your first and your last stitch is, because sometimes it's going to work up like this, where you're going to have to do 10 half double crochets in a row. Only this 10 is going to be worked in the front loop, and these next 5, I said the first 10, these first 5 are going to be worked in the front loop, and this next 5 is going to be worked in the back loop. So you want to yarn over, and you're going to find the back loop and do a half double crochet there. And then you can move your marker up here if you absolutely want to mark your first stitch. And sometimes when you get to that point right there, you definitely want to make sure you know which is your very first half double crochet of the row. So that was 1. Then again, work a half double crochet in the back loop only. 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, now you can see that the front loops leave a line there. Continue on this whole round. You're going to be working in the back loops only. And the next is going to be your 5 slip stitches worked in the back loop. 4, 5. You have to be sure. And if I'm not sure, I back up. I need to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. See, and I'm glad I did, because this one was not part of that set. Okay, so then you need to do your next 5 half double crochets worked in the back loop only. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you're going to continue this all the way around, and I'll see you when you get back to your marker. Okay, I just worked my last 5 slip stitches of the round, and I made it back up to my marker. And now again, oh sorry, I forgot to grab yarn before I started recording. So now our next row we're going to be working in the front loops again. So grab that front loop, and we only did 1 row of half double crochet, so we need to do our second row of half double crochets, this time working in the front loop only. So that's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we need to do our second row of slip stitches in the front loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then again we'll be working our next set of half double crochets. As you can see, we've got the next row when we do our working in the back loop with our next round of slip stitches. This is going to bring that pattern like this. You can see it's forming, this very first one here. You can see the line going under, then after this next it'll go up. So basically you're going to be repeating those 2 rows over and over again, alternating working in the front stitch and the back stitch, and doing 2 rows in a row on top of one another, half double crochet on top of half double crochet, before you start to do your slip stitch row. And you're going to be alternating the front and back loop as you go. So you're just going to have to make sure that you keep track of where you worked last time, your front or your back loop. So you want to continue to do this for the hat. Hi guys, you may be wondering why the thing I was working on is different looking. Well, this is actually the next day. I was under pressure when I was filming 2 tutorials simultaneously. I didn't have a lot of time, and I was running low on battery in my camera, and so I felt like I rushed a little bit more. I really wanted to go through a few more levels with you guys, a few more rows, until you guys maybe felt a bit more comfortable and continuing on yourself. So I'm hoping that the construction next door will be quiet enough to where I can film those few more rows with you guys. If you did get it and I explained well enough for you, you can just go ahead and skip this part. This is, you know, solely for people who was hoping I would do a few more rows with them until they got it down a little bit better. So I found out by looking at the video where I left off. We had just left off on this row. So we did our last row, worked in the front loops. So this time we're going to be working in the back loops. And since you can tell that we had 2 half double crochet rows, the next row is going to be the start of our 2 rows of slip stitches. So we're going to be working in the back loops this round. So I'm going to slip stitch 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we'll do our 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we're working in the back loop only. Then 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just continue that all the way around. Next will be your 5 half double crochets worked in the back stitches only. Okay, I made it back to my stitch marker. We just did back loops, so now this round we're going to be doing front loops. And since we only have 1 round of half double crochets, we can take that as a reminder that now we still have to do another row of slip stitches. So we worked in the back loops this time, last time, so we're going to be working in the front loops this time. So do 5 slip stitches worked in the front stitches, front loops only. It's 5, and then 5 half double crochets worked in the front loop only. Two, 3, 4, and 5. And then 5 slip stitches worked in the front loops only. 2, 3, 4, 5. So just continue this all the way around, alternating 5 slip stitches, 5 half double crochets worked in the front loop only. Okay. Just got to the end of my row. I'm always counting 5, 5, 5. So I know exactly when I end my row. And just as a visual aid, since this is a little over to the left more or over to the right, depending on how you're looking at this, then where my real beginning stitch will be, I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker over here just to help remind myself next row that this was and is my first stitch before I start working in it. Okay, so you can tell by here we already did 2 rows. So now we have to start doing our slip stitches now over this. So we need to start changing it up. So we did 2 rows of slip stitches here. So now it's time to change to half double crochets. We just worked in our front loops, so we need to change to back loops. So working in the back loops only, start off with 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I know it's weird because it's all half double crochets, but these are all worked in the front loops, and then these 5 for the next row is all worked in the back loops. So continuing working in the back loops only, do your 5 slip stitches. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then your half double crochets worked in the back loop. 3, 4, and 5. Sorry, the camera's a little higher than usual. Hard to get in the middle. Okay, then your next 5 slip stitches worked in the back loop only. So just continue this all the way around, continuing to work in the back loop only, and I'll see you when you get to the beginning of your row. I had to back out back here on camera. I'm sure you saw I made 6 slip stitches instead of 5, but I wasn't sure, so I definitely went back and I redid it, so I have my 5. So I am still where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so we just worked on our back stitches, so now we need to move to front stitches. We only have 1 row of half double crochets, so we still need a 2nd row of half double crochets. So we're going to be working 5 half double crochets in the front loop. We're going to be working in the front loop this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then our 5 slip stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then our next half double crochets. Remember, front loop only this whole round. Continue around, and I'll see you when you get back to the end. Okay. Counting, I know I'm at the end of my row. That and these 2 are done already, so I definitely know that I'm done. Because I just did 3 slip stitches, and obviously since these 2 are half double crochets, I'm going to need to do slip stitches over this row. But I just did 5 slip stitches, so I can just tell by that that is definitely the end of my row. So because my marker is over here, again, about every 2 rows, you really need to move your stitch marker up to mark that very next stitch over, so you know that that's going to be your first stitch. And because we just worked in the front loops, now we need to work in the back loops. And now that we know we have 2 rows of half double crochets, we need to switch it up to do our slip stitches. So we're going to be working 5 slip stitches in the back loops only. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then continuing with working with the back loops only, I'm going to be doing our 5 half double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So keep working your 5 half double crochets, 5 slip stitches, 5 half double crochets, worked in the back loops only. Okay, just got to the end of my row. We just worked in the back stitches, so we need to switch that up and work in the front stitches. We only have one row of half double crochets here, and you know you're going to need another. So we're going to repeat the last row again, only we're going to be working in the front stitches this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then continue your half double crochets worked in the front loop only. And again, after these 2 rows, when you get back up to the last stitch, move your stitch marker up again. And I think I've taken you through enough rows where I think hopefully you've gotten it by now. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the video here and continue from yesterday until you reach from the very first row of your rim all the way to the last row worked, 10 inches or 27 centimeters. And I know this is probably backwards on camera. So when you reach the very last row, that's 27 centimeters, then I will show you how to end your hat. Okay, so for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and pretend that I have my 10 inches or 27 centimeters long hat, and I'm going to show you what you do when you've reached that point. Now for the next row, let's say I just measured it and I'm at that point. I'm here at my marker at the beginning of my row. Now I'm just going to be going under both stitches now, both loops, and I'm going to be putting 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Hard to grab both loops here. So just continue and do 1 stitch all the way around. Keep moving your marker up whenever you need, and I'm probably going to do that here just to mark my first stitch. So continue to do the single crochets worked in each stitch all the way around, and I'll see you back here in a moment. Okay, that was row 1 of reducing, 1 single crochet all the way around. Now for round 2, you're going to do 1 single crochet, and then you're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. Then you'll continue that all the way around. You'll do 1 single crochet, and then you will do 1 single crochet decrease. Continue this all the way around. I did a 70 stitch to begin with hat, so for the end of this round I had 46 stitches. Okay, for round 3, you want to do a single crochet decrease in each stitch around. So this is going to be all single crochet decreases. And at the end of this round, I had 23 stitches. Now for the 4th round of decreasing, you want to work 1 single crochet in each stitch, in each of your 23 stitches, if you began with your 70 stitches. So let's just continue. Should be just a moment because we're really short on stitches on this tutorial here. Okay, when I get back up to my last stitch here. Okay, so for round 5, again, we're going to be working a single crochet decrease in all our stitches. We're really shrinking up our hole this row for round 5. So continue to single crochet decrease all the way around. Then when you get back up to your beginning stitch again, the last round, round 6, you're going to just do a single crochet worked in all stitches around. It's just going to make it look neater, having that last row of single crochets all the way around. So once you do your single crochets all the way around and you've reached the end, what you want to do is chain 1 and leave yourself a long tail. And then you're going to take your hat and turn it inside out, and you want to feed that long tail through your hole here that you have in the center. Yours of course will be much bigger. You want to feed that long tail through there, and when you do your chain 1 and you cut your tail, you definitely want to pull your yarn through and make that tight before you do this part. So once you have your long tail fed through here, you'll thread your tapestry needle. Get my tapestry needle here. And what you'll be doing is you'll be working around this hole. You'll be weaving in and out of the stitches. So you have your long tail here, and you're going to come up through one stitch, then down between the next. And you're going to keep going back and forth, and when you've done about 4 or 5, then you want to pull your tail through. Essentially you're creating a pulley, and then you'll continue on around, going through one and up through the next, creating your pulley all the way around until you have all of this connected. When you get back up to the beginning, then you can pull that tail and it will tighten up the hole here. And then I usually like to go from either side of this side of the hole to the other side of the hole a few times. I'll do like this, and then I may tie a knot or something, and then do that a few times. Make sure your hole is nice and tight, and then you can feed your tail down your stitches just to hide the remainder tail, and then cut it, and then you can turn your hat inside out, and then you'll have your hat. Ooh, there we go. And that's it. That is how you make your wave stitch slouch hat. And also in the bottom of the tutorial, if you're one of my weekly subscribers, you may not be able to see the link right now because it's going to be released next week, but for the most part, most people will find this video probably same time this is already released. So check underneath the description box below, and you should see the link to the gloves as well. If you haven't subscribed to my Facebook page yet, where I share other people's patterns and give you the most update information about what's happening with me and my channel, please go take a moment to look at Meladora's Creations on Facebook and like me over there. Or you can look down in the description box below, and there's links to all the places where I am on social media. Also, if you're a first-time watcher and you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please take a moment to do that. And please don't forget to like and share my videos. It helps me out so much. I just want to thank you guys for all that you do in support of this video, my channel in general. And thank you so much for watching.